How you doing? My name is Mike Toscano. I'm here at the Powerhouse Gym, Bev Francis in Syosset, New York. I'm going to be running through a full body workout. I just did my first bodybuilding show, the Mr. Buffalo, last weekend, and I took the overall novice class and overall heavyweight open class. I had a wrestling injury. I was wrestling and I slipped my C6 and C7. It pinched a nerve, and I lost my whole right pec and right tricep muscle atrophy. And they said they didn't know if it would ever come back. And I've been pushing, to overcome not only the physical aspect but the mental aspect, because it crushed me for a while. And then I turned it into fire to drive me. So now I really focus on a lot of upper chest exercises where that muscle doesn't fire so much. So for my incline dumbbell, that's one of the exercises where I try and go a little heavier and get a good squeeze to develop the upper chest area. I've always been into working out. I was a two-sport collegiate athlete. I played football and wrestled, and it was always hard to really focus on building muscle because for wrestling I was constantly cutting weight. So when I was finished with wrestling, I was able to put the weight on, and then I realized that I missed, competing. So that's when I decided to start working towards the bodybuilding. And after a few years, I did my first competition, which was last weekend. And now after winning the whole show, it kind of gave me even more of a drive to keep competing and push harder. And it's something that I really enjoy and have fun and I love doing. Cable crossovers is one of my favorites for the chest because you can get a real good squeeze, especially when you cross all the way over. And, it gives you the striations down the middle of your chest. It cups off your chest. And, you get a good stretch and overall feel throughout the whole chest while doing it. And then switching up angles is another thing that I really believe on. You could put it on all the way down, in the middle, halfway between, all the way up. Constantly changing angles and little tweaks is things that I find really, trick the muscles, and that's how you're going to end up growing. Back's one of my strong points. It's not necessarily my favorite exercise to work, but it's one of my stronger points. And it actually played a huge role in my win in my show because my back was not only thick, but super conditioned. And one of my favorite exercises is actually the bent over dumbbell row. In my gym, unfortunately, we only have up to 120-pound dumbbells, so I get more of a squeeze and high reps. But while I was here training at Bev's, I was able to do the 200s for 6 to 8 reps and still get a moderately good squeeze. And, you feel it throughout your whole back, the lats, the middle of the back, and it puts on really good thickness, which is important because they say bodybuilding is won from the back. I actually did do a physique show last April, 2014. And I realized that I was too big for physique, but by then it was too late for me to build to be a bodybuilder. So I really put in a lot of work on building, in the off season to compete this year as a bodybuilder. And I really worked my butt off, and I came in at my first bodybuilding show, and I ended up taking the overall for the novice and for the open class. So, that made me realize that, all the hard work I put in was that much more worth it. The prep for this bodybuilding show was about 16 weeks. The diet was pretty consistent. It wasn't anything drastically changing. My coach is pretty keen on just keeping everything clean, no big cheat meals, and one thing that he really focuses on, which is Jose Raymond, who came in and won the Arnold, and he was drier by the night show, is the majority of the guys between prejudging and finals were like, I'm going to go have a burger, I'm going to go have this, I'm going to have that. He had me have steak, potatoes, and rice cakes and just nap and keep my feet up. And I came back in drier and harder, and I ended up beating the super heavyweight to win the overall in the finals. So his prep is really something that works well for my body. This is one of my favorite back exercises I like to end with. It hits the lats and the middle of the back. I like to kind of burn it out. It's one of the few exercises that I'd never done until my coach, Jose Raymond, showed me. And pretty much hits all of the upper back and the lats. And you focus more on lighter weight in the squeeze. My favorite body part that I like working is shoulders, and I really noticed that a lot of people neglect the rear delts. So for finishing on a shoulder day, I actually have an exercise I call a full moon, and it focuses on the whole shoulder. The initial motion gets the rear delt, and it moves into the side delt, and then it hits the trap at the top. And that's an exercise where you don't need to go super heavy. Control it all the way up and all the way down, and you, like I said, you feel the rear delt to the side delt to the trap. Aside from competing, I'm also a personal trainer. And growing up wrestling, I suffered 4 years ago a neck injury. And ever since then, my whole philosophy for training has changed. And I feel more than heavy training. It's more about, for me, is squeezing the muscle that you're supposed to be using and proper form. So I take back a little bit on the heavy weight and focus more on that. And my body seemed to adapt to that. And, you know, it works really well for my clients. Everyone has their own philosophies, but for me, squeezing the muscle you're being used and really focusing on that muscle in proper form has helped me get to where I've been today. Often you see a lot of people and they're hitting 3 shoulder presses, 3 side raises, which I'm very keen on side raises, bunch of front raises, but what you don't see is them hitting a lot of rear delts, and that's also part of the shoulder, and a lot of people neglect that. So I try and hit at least 2 rear delt exercises, and one of them is the rear delt fly. And with that, I don't bang out reps, but what I do is I try and get a 1 to 2 second hold at the back where I'm flexing that rear delt, so I know it's being worked. Then slow and controlled back down, and then back up and squeeze again. And I like to do that for about 12 to 20 reps. The next exercise is the alternating dumbbell curls. And again, with those, with my philosophy, is the squeeze. I like to control it on the way up, but also on the way down. So you're getting a positive and a negative, which in turn your muscle is, working twice as much. Granted, when you do want to go heavy and put on some size, you're going to lack form, but I like to meet in the middle, a happy medium where you're not sacrificing too much form, but you're still, lifting somewhat heavy weight. And I really feel a good squeeze on the alternating dumbbell curls. For the cable easy bar curls, again, everybody has a different feel, and when I'm training my clients, I always say, if you don't feel it, let's switch it up, or if you do feel it, let's keep it the same. For me, I don't curl my wrists towards me, but I push my wrists like towards the ceiling, and what that does is helps me get my peak and really get a real squeeze in the bicep. So this is one exercise that I really feel it, where it almost cramps up, and then that's when you release down and then back up, palms to the ceiling. Another variation for curls, I never go in the gym with a set workout. I have an idea of what I want to do, or maybe 2 or 3 exercises that I have to do, but I'm constantly changing up my workouts and my routines, and I like going in not knowing what I'm going to do. That way I'm constantly triggering and tricking my body. One variation I like is the cable balls where you curl up and twist it out. I'll do 10 of those, and then I'll do 10 hammers straight up, and that really burns them out. That's a good ending exercise for biceps to really burn them out. For triceps, I like to do cable push downs. In this exercise, I go pretty heavy to try and help put a little size on the triceps, but not too heavy where you're putting your body weight into it. Again, you see people loading up the rack and they're putting half their body weight into it. If you have to do that, it's too heavy. So I like to put as heavy as I can go, but where I'm still using only my triceps and not my body weight. Next one is one of my favorites, I guess basically because I feel it working really well, and that's a single cable arm push down. And I like to lock my arm tight into my side and only work from the elbow down. Don't bring the elbow up or elevate it up, and get a 1 to 2 second squeeze at the bottom. You should feel almost a cramp, and when you do, you come up and then you go back down again. And that's more of a lighter weight, high rep exercise to really get that burn and that squeeze. An exercise I like to either warm up with or end with, or both, is one of the most old school exercises, which is dips. I remember being on the playground and my dad would make me do push-ups, pull-ups, and dips almost every day, and that's something that I still incorporate into my workouts really regularly. And dips, really works your whole upper body. You can feel it in your back, you feel it in your chest, you feel it in your triceps, and some of the most ripped guys are guys that do own body weight exercises. So again, it's important to work all aspects of fitness into your workouts. I just want to throw out a few thank yous. I want to throw a thank you to my girlfriend who supports me and pushes me through all my contest prep. Obviously my family and all my friends that supported me through this. Adam Silver for putting together this awesome workout video, and Steve Weinberger for letting me use his gym, which is amazing.